Alright, I'm gonna get started. So, I saw somebody post this, and I think it was our Haskell. Let me see if I can find it. I saw them post about a beginner project. Something somebody could dive into. Yeah, I think this was it. Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and post this link in the chat. There we go. And I ended up following that GitHub link to this little guy here. It's supposed to be a recipe manager written in Haskell. I think right now it's using show and read for persistence, which I do this for a living, and like everything I've ever worked on in a commercial environment has used a database server. They're not always the most convenient thing in the world, though, especially for something you intend to deliver to end users. You're not going to, generally you're not going to tell an end user, install MySQL or Postgres. So there's a nice little middle point. You can use SQLite, and then you get something a little structured, quite a bit safer, more flexible, faster, in all likelihood, and end user doesn't necessarily have to know the difference. So let's go ahead and see if I have this cloned down. I do. I'm going to check my Git remote, make certain this is something I cloned from my fork, because I'm not going to be able to push against Kiefer's original repo. So not much use having origin set to Kiefer's repo. Alright, so one thing I do note though is I think they've changed things a bit, because I don't remember types and utils being there before. So what I'm going to want to do in order to catch things up is I use a naming convention for setting remotes against other people's repos. What I do is I always make it whatever the name of their GitHub account is. So in this case that's going to be Jack Kiefer, and then I just go ahead and grab the Git protocol URL from the clone or download dropdown. I can type it out of memory, but whatever, it's easier. Alright, now I've got that remote, and now instead of pull origin master, I can do pull Jack Kiefer master. There we go, and then I'm going to push that up to my fork. So my fork is caught up. Yeah, there we go. And now it says this branch is even with Jack Kiefer master, so now it's not behind anymore. Okay, well, that makes things little different, because now we've got some extra stuff here. Get it spread out. Looks like the modules aren't really doing a whole lot by themselves. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to restructure the modules. Double check my chat here. No, I'm just asking questions. All right. So, oh. Tree installed on here? Okay. The ZSH prompt takes a little bit. Alright, get that homebrew install fired off. Who knows when we'll finish. Okay, point is, I usually try to put the source files in kind of a standard structure. I think the stack default project is a decent example. So the default template Stack uses when you use stack new is simple, which is basically just a little library module and then a main for an executable. So if I fire that up real quick and I take a look at test barrage here, one of the things you'll notice is they just have like top level documentation and package description stuff in the root directory. The actual source files are under source. And oh, never mind. It's just the main. Maybe I think they may have refactored that recently. Because it used to have a separate app and source directory, which I usually do too, but if all you're doing is importing like one thing, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change Herms to look more like that. This doesn't even have a package description or anything, so we're gonna just rip some stuff off from that scaffold, copy the stack over. What I actually want is an HPAC package YAML, so stack templates HPAC. Yeah, simple HPAC. So I'll make test barrage again, stack new, test barrage, simple HPAC. There we go. Now I can do test barrage, package YAML, and package YAML just gives me a nice way to generate Cabal files. So I'm just going to change this to Herms, Jack, Kiefer, Herms, README, on that. Did he license this? What license are we looking at here? GNU GPL v3. I don't know if that's the actual standard name you're supposed to use. I think it'll complain to me if I get it wrong. Does Mr. Kiefer have an email address? He does. It's dapper for a programmer. Jeez. Looks like he just walked out of a funeral. Alright, so category web? Web? There's no web here. What is this? I never know the package categories. What are the categories? Categories browse, sorted by category. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be like a kitchen category. It's just like a personal app. Command line maybe? Is there something like that? Yeah, command line tool. There's only like 4 things in command line and 3 in command line tools. So. I'll just call it a command line tool. Whatevs. Alright. And the name of this is Herms. And let me check the stacking up. Wow, I forgot how noisy these are. No, we're not doing that. We're also not doing that. Nope. Nope, nope. Shut up. There we go. Alright. I don't think I really care about... No, I actually do have to share a library. So you don't actually have to make a library for every Haskell project. Some of them are just apps. Now, the problem here is that we've got one project and we need to be able to potentially write things like a migration utility, because my goal here is to get it off of the flat file read show based storage, which for the record, you're not actually supposed to use read and show for storage. You're not meant to do that. I understand why you did it, it's fine. It's just, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. So, I'm going to actually need a library so that I can share the descriptions of the data in the database and how to access that stuff between both the regular app and a like some kind of migration tool to basically move data from one thing to the next. So, and that's actually more challenging than just changing the way it works, because I have to essentially like guard everything by flags of, you know, use this in this mode, that in that mode, that kind of thing. But for now, I'm just worrying about the package description. Oh, was I editing too fast, dang man? Alright, let me see here. Okay, so now we've got package, YAML, stack YAML, source dirs, main. We'll just change it to... What we change it to? Do I have anything that... Did I use a library in here? I did. Alright, cool. Okay, so now we need to make something called herms.hs in the source directory. So I'm probably going to need to split apart this herms.hs file with module main, but module main does indicate at least some of this is going to end up at least some of it's going to end up under app. Oops, Victor app. So anything command line app executable specific is going to be app, and then any kind of shared functionality is going to be in source. So I think it's add CLI. Wow. This is not the code that this thing started out with. This started out much simpler. Okay. Well, I'm just going to start moving stuff. Star.hs, or splat, I guess. Move it all under source, and then figure out what I can extract to app. Okay. 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 Oop. There we go. Alright, I think this is really gonna work. No parse license. Yeah, okay. Alright, call GPL v3. Trailing white space and say GPL3, how about that? And it's doing stuff. Alright, cool. File name does not match module name. Yeah, so our herms thing here needs to actually be named herms, but some of it's going to need to get moved out. So... Okay. Well, one easy way to get started here is to actually just take the main command, main action, go to app, make main.hs, module main where, import herms, and there we go. And then the next thing I'm going to need to do is, you see how these are all named herms dot? But that's not actually where they're located. So I need to go into source, make their herms, move add CLI under herms. Hi, Kala. Oops. Nope, there we go. Okay, yeah. Types is going to go under herms. And then we're just going to check utils here. Yeah, utils too. Alright, so another nice thing about this is it makes the module hierarchy a little more clear. Like, I had no idea that they were prefixed with terms until now. Okay. Alright, try that build again. Come on. Alright, our first dependency. So we need split. Taking a wild guess at the dependency ranges here. I try to pick something kind of reasonable sounding, but I don't really know otherwise. Alright, so it's installing the dependency now. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. Just the add CLI stuff. So we've got microlens and brick. I know what brick is. I've never used it though. Mostly because I try to avoid incursus type stuff. Very, very old prejudice of mine when I wrote C code a long time ago. They do a lot of major bumps there, don't they? Or minor, I guess. I can never remember. Up to 0.5, and then we're also going to need brick. Okay, I give up on alignment. They are what they are. Alright. Let me see here. Alright. I can abide that. Alright, so basically the dependency of brick I get is based on my stack YAML. I've got LTS snapshot 8.21. When I go to stackage.org/LTS, it takes me to, hold on, LTS 8.21. Then if I search in here for brick, we see brick 17.2, which is what it said I had. But it was supposed to match the very pessimistic lower bound I gave it. It failed because it didn't equal some dependency under 19. So all I did was change the lower bound to something lower because, for all I know, it works fine. And now it's installing dependencies. So even when you're using stack, you still need to think about your dependencies a little bit. Hypothetically, you could just set 0 package bounds on everything, but that's not... It's annoying to have to bump dependencies, especially if you have to package bounds, especially if you maintain a lot of projects. But I don't actually have to maintain this. This is Jack's problem. I'm just going to do this, PR it, and then it's his problem. He can decide what to do from there. Okay. Speaking of project management, let's have a look at this makefile. This is something like a C or C++ programmer would do, or maybe an OCaml programmer wasn't using OCaml. Yeah, we're not doing that. I mean, I guess you could, but yeesh. And then there is a command I can do to mimic the -o behavior. So this is just pulling in the modules, and then it's dumping out a binary called herms. There is a way to set a local bin path with, hold on, copy bins, local bin path, yeah, that's what I thought. So let's see if I remember how to do this. local bin path. How does that get set? Do I have root prep installed? I do. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna take the route I take with most projects, and I'm going to. Oh wow, there's no get ignore here. Okay. We're getting some errors. We'll fix it in a moment. Pretty minor stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna make their bin, and then this doesn't have a get ignore, which is not a great idea. I wrote this little Rust utility to grab get ignore files from the GitHub get ignore repo. That's this bad boy right here. Just get ignore templates, and if you take a look here, it's just that. Right? Same thing. Just an HTTP client. But what it does is, instead of having to open a browser and do all that, I just do levertovo-lang, whatever the name of the file is in this repo, less the .getignore, and then I just redirect the output to getignore, and voila, we have a getignore now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've made a bin directory. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add bin to the ignore because I don't want to accidentally check in binaries into my version control. I'm going to ignore herms.cabal because that just gets generated by package YAML, which is 8pack. I'm going to add stack YAML. And now we're going to revisit those build failures, even though I know what I need to do. So, failed to load interface for lens micro th, member of hidden package, yada yada yada. Anytime you see hidden package, it just wants to add it to the dependencies. I don't really need to set bounds on microlens th because the parent package kind of decides that for me. And then the other thing it wants is vty, which I should set dependencies for, or bounds for. So I'm going to go to vty, take a look. 5.15, huh? Whoops. Stackage, that'll work. LTS. vty, what version do we have? 5? Yeah. Okay, cool. 5.15. 0, even though it'll probably work a lot more than that. Whoop. Ooh. Does this code work in the original? So I see a couple possibilities here. Either the code was wrong before, and there you're using some undocumented version of the library. So this is one of the problems with not having Cabal files or stack YAML or anything like that. Somebody else tries to build your code, they don't necessarily know what versions of everything they're supposed to have. Because if you take a look at the original source code here, it tells you how to use it kind of, but there's no versions here. Like, it doesn't even actually document the dependencies. Whereas you know exactly what this depends on through here, right? Now, the problem now is that I have to now figure out if the code is wrong or if it's just the wrong version of a library. So, let's have a look at Alright, so it's complaining about terms and CLI. E.render editor. Okay, so it's these things they're complaining about. And E is brick. Okay, so it's a brick editor widget. Brick wasn't even in LTS 7. What about LTS 6? It was 0.4.1. Okie doke. Well, let's give it a shot. So what I'm doing now is I'm setting an extra dep in stack YAML. I'm basically forcing that specific version of brick to see if it'll work. Now I need to, this is where we begin to get into why bother with package bounds territory, because I need to strip them off before it'll let me build with that version. I'm hoping it's just that I was using a version of brick that was too new. I don't think it would be a case of it being too old. But I guess we'll find out here in just a moment. Yeah. That'll get migrated to eventually. Monad fail. We gotta remove fail from the monad eventually, because it's not really properly part of the monad. But there's a bit of a migration process in getting everybody's code changed over to add the new constraint. How do I pull in regular lens? Yikes. Must have been baked into brick. Okay, that wasn't intentional. Let me see here. Brick 0.4.1. It's using micro lens. I don't know. Something pulling in lens. Yeah, people are still mad about tuples. It's pretty funny. About the foldable first proposal. People are still whining about it on the mailing list. It's been like 3-4 years now. I don't get it. Basically managed to write a book in the amount of time people have spent whining about it. Lens. Why is it installing Lens? Okay, there we go. Ugh. No instance for default adder. Rising from a use of def. Okay, the library failed to install. Not even my package. Let me think about this. Well, that's not happening. All right. Let me think about this. I'm gonna try to save the video. I don't really know how this stuff works, but it's supposed to be saving it, and I don't plan to delete it or anything. I was deleting some earlier videos because they were just artifacts of me testing the stream. Okay, so I personally don't care about the brick functionality all that much. Good night, Kala. But I could also just look at it and see what's missing here. And, you know, just fix it. That's a lot of errors. Oh man, I had no idea who's gonna change it. Alright. Well, let's have a look at a more recent version of Brick here. Actually, no, you know what I should do? I should try a newer version, just in case. Yeah, I probably needed to change the VTY dependency in lockstep, but I actually want to try a newer version here real quick. Data CList, okay. So look at this data CList. There it goes. Circular list, that's what CList stands for. It does not stand for C array. Yeah, it's a ring buffer, kind of, except functional. Okie dokie. Meanwhile, I might as well take a look at this function. Editor, there we go. Render. Bool. Editor. Widget. So it's getting. It's interesting. Ooh, that was some progress. That was wrong. He is using a newer version. All right. Well, now I know. Get the old directory in there. Okay, just gotta add a dependency here. Dependencies. Base there. Oh. Whoops, not boutique. Firms. Wrong project. Not in scope, get ours. Alright, so now I need to start migrating some imports over, so we're probably not using system.environment here, but it's a little hard to know because none of these imports are qualified. So, let's start qualifying these imports so we know what's getting used. And one of the nicer ways to start qualifying, also we have a successful build now. So I can do stack exec herms, and there it is. It comes with data baked in, I guess. Don't really know what's going on there. Stack exec herms remove 3. Yeah, we don't like peasant bread. Peasant bread can go to hell. Alright, cool. Seems to be working. Don't know where it's saving that data. Guess I have to look at the code at some point. Alright, so we're gonna do a little bit of house cleaning on the dependencies here. So source herms.hs, and then I'm just gonna zero that out. Oop, remove file, rename file. Now I know it's getting used there. Alright, link up system.io. We're using open temp file. H close, H put string. And what are we using at a control.monad? We're using guard foreign underscore, and that's it. Yeah. Let's just fix all of these. Control.applicative, I don't know. I don't even know why that needs to be imported. Variable non-scope, list of maybe from data.maybe. Alternative. Okay. But that's an alias, isn't it? Now we'll find out. Data.list, delete. Oh, look at that. Didn't need these two. Gone. Alright, text.read. What are you doing for me? Read maybe. Fair enough. Done. Alright. Alright, so I think what we're going to do is split these up into branches. So this is a slightly more conservative refactoring. Really just kind of a house cleaning of the code. So I'm going to commit all this, create a new branch, app, house cleaning, and push it to master. I'm just going to create a branch. So that I just kind of have that line drawn in the sand. And what I'm going to do now is decide whether or not I want to pull request this. Because I can either pull request what I have now, or I can wait until I have the SQLite version. Done. There's some definition of done. What about you guys? What do you want to see? You want to see me do the SQLite thing? There's a little bit of lag, so I'm going to give you a second. Meanwhile, I'll get started on the SQLite branch. Okay, people are into SQLite. We will do SQLite. All right. There we go. Okay, so the local bin path thing is it's just copying. All right, copy. There we go. So now it'll copy the binary, and it just lives right there. I'd still. All right. Let's find out where it's actually stashing this stuff. So Michael Borden asked if I was going to use persistent or Haskellito for SQLite, and the answer is either or. Well, not really either or. So Haskellito doesn't work without persistent. Persistent is always how you're going to define your modules. Sorry, your models, your database models. Haskellito relies on those database models in order to know the structure of your types and how to generate the queries, and to know it's type safe. Haskellito is basically just adding expressive power on top of persistent, because persistent doesn't understand SQL in general or joins, but Haskellito does. So generally I'll just use persistent, until I need a join. And then Escalito's kind of in the action. For those of you wondering about these libraries, I maintain Escalito at this GitHub repo. And persisted is split up into a couple packages. I did that wrong. So the two persistent packages we're going to use are going to be the core persistent package and the persistent SQLite package. All right. So now what we're going to do is take a look at types here. See what we've got. Quantity, ratio, int, unit, ingredient name, attribute. All right. Seems all right. A lot of string, but what are you going to do, I guess? Okay. Utils. And I'm just going to ignore the brick stuff and pretend it doesn't exist. Seems like a good idea. Okay, so this is the stuff that actually... Oh, file name, recipes. Is that? Yeah. So it's just new lines separated, records. That's cool. It's easy. Cool. Alright. Alrighty then. So we've got get recipe book, and it's just splitting with lines and reading them out with map. It's pretty simple. Alright, cool. It's kind of funny to see list of maybe for an operation like this, because I end up using list of maybe a lot with database queries, because everything returns a list. Usually you don't have that when you're using just a native Haskell type, but it's interesting. I think you could change that, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Sorry. All right. So what I'm going to want to do here is take a look at main. Okay, yeah, I think I can just ignore the brick stuff because we just have these very basic commands. So action, look up head args dispatch. Okay. Cool. Alright. Well, there's clever ways to do that, but I don't think it matters for now. Okay, so I'll start with the types. Create a persist module, SQLite. Pop up to my dependencies here. Persistence, right. Step build. And module herms.persist.SQLite. Where? Do, 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 do. Whoops. Need to move that up a slot. There we go. And we're looking for model. Alright. Config. Models. Dun, dun, dun. Oops. I'll edit that. Edit that. Let me think here. Oops. My default extensions here. That seems good. We'll just pull those bad boys in. There we go. Don't want to think about it again. Now I don't have to. And I think I did models the way I prefer to in types. Just in the original, probably. Yep, there it is. Alright. SQLite. There we go. I know how that works. Alright. Oh yeah, the people in chat mentioned I've got no implicit prelude. Well, we're not doing that. Oh, that's still building. Alright then. Alright. Pop up the types here. So we have a couple options. We could actually harmonize the SQLite types that persistent generates with the code here. I personally don't really care all that much one way or the other. For the sake of something more idiomatic, I think I'm just going to remove it. Oh, sorry about the live keyboard. No, it's keyboard solid. It's on the TIOS, it's fine. That'll be fine. Alright, so we just want to port these. Okay, ingredient and recipe. And that is about it. So quantity, ratio. I may even want to use yeah, actually it's not ratio. Why is it ratio int? Is it just so it's limited in size? Because usually people would use rational, which is ratio integer. It may be so that it's not of indeterminate size, but that's still a little strange. Do I want to convert anything from string to text? I don't actually care. I'll leave it alone. Ingredient name, string, attribute, string, deriving, eq, show, read. Okay. Although now that I think of it, I'm gonna have to I have to write a migration tool that goes between these. So I'm going to need these types. Alright. So I can get rid of the read on this. And then a recipe is a name, which is string. Description, which is string. It has ingredients. Alright, this one's going to be annoying. We'll fix it in a minute. Directions, let's just string. Excuse me. Does SQLite have an array representation? I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Let's check. Looks like I might end up using Esclato to get to deal with ingredients, directions, and tags. I'm going to need to create tables. So just to recap for any new people, there's this utility for just managing a recipe list, basically. Not a whole lot else to it. And it was written by a student, and I thought I would kind of spiffy it up. In particular, it was using flat file storage, which has its advantages, but I thought I would rewrite it so people could see what it would look like in something more likely to use in production, like a database. So that's what I'm doing. Alrighty then. Well, I'm gonna have to make a couple tables here. So if I don't actually want to share them across different recipes, which I don't especially. Yeah, the data is just embedded like a document here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a foreign key, and I'll just associate them. Tag directions. Direction. Dun, 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 dun. What do the directions look like? Okay. It's just a string and a recipe. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're not going to make this maybe. You can't create a direction unless you're associating with the recipe. And we're going to do the same for tag here. And then tags are just text. So a tag's just going to have a name, which is a string. And get rid of that, get rid of those, deriving, Oops. I'd already done that. Yeah, what was with this indent? Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Possibly incorrect indentation or brackets. Line 21. Non-scope. Persist lowercase. Oops. Let's see where that lives. Where does that live? Oh, data persists th. Right. Okay. Alright, source, rooms, persist, SQLite. Yep, that's a new, let me see. So we now need persistent, th, no, template. There we go. Nice GCI. I went ahead and changed the ratio int to a rational, which is just an alias for ratio integer. Shouldn't cause problems, but it is worth keeping in mind that int has a max bound, but integer doesn't. So for the purposes of persisting a disk, integer, hypothetically but not realistically, could have you just like spinning off into infinity. Ambiguous type variable. This didn't happen before. What is this? Oh, it's from the, yeah, okay. I know what this is from. Alright. Alright, I've got a solution to this. Ambiguous type resulting from length. Foldable, because we don't know the type of description. Okay. That's a little weird, isn't it? So string, right? Oh, there we go. Problem solved. People were talking about why you would learn Haskell and if it's harder or not. I'd say it's harder. Wouldn't have needed to write a book otherwise, but I completely believe it's worth it. I don't know that I'd be working as a programmer if it weren't for Haskell. Okay, let's go ahead and load our database stuff. That's been done. Okay, so now we have these types like ingredient, which persistent helpfully generated a bunch of stuff for us. It also makes all the fields strict by default, which I'm pretty fond of. And now we have database models. So the next thing is to make a persist.hs. And what we're going to do here is make helpers for talking to the database models. I'm pasting the book into chat. Okay, I need stop persistence. And let me think here. Where Cool. Dun, 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 dun. All right. And now we're mentioning there's an IRC channel where you can get help. That IRC channel, which I'm typing into chat, is Haskell-beginners on Freenode IRC. All right, so let me see here. I need that. What is... Ooh. All right. Perform database migrations. All right. Okay, let me see here. So I've got the database migration, database connection pool stuff. Where's my run DB? Run DB. No, it's not going to be in there. Foundation. It's usually a run DB. Aha! There it is. All right. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna make a simplified run DB here. All right. So given an action, we're gonna take a pool. It's gonna be pool SQL backend, I think. Let's double check SQLite here. Help me out here. SQL back is SQL backend. It's just SQL backend, right? I'm just gonna assume SQL backend. And then SQL persist.m A to IO A, and I'm not gonna get it from that. I'm not gonna get it from that. We're just gonna do that. All right, so now we're missing pool, which lives resource pools. Is that the right thing? Let's see what the deprecated, deprecated favorite resource pool. PQR, resource pool, kill, restart. There we go. It's still mad, but that's because I haven't imported pool yet. Import pool, reload. Alright then. SQL pool. Comment that out. Throw it undefined in there. Reload. Source terms persist. SQL pool. Alright. it was upset that I wasn't running the logging T of the resource. That's interesting. Answering a question about persistent production, I was talking about how persistent production's been perfectly safe for me. You do need to pay attention to the migrations, but that's true of anything. I mean, really, the right way to do migrations isn't to just like run some migration generator directly on an app server or something. The right way to do it is to generate your migration statically on a dev's computer. Generate the migration, dump it in some script directory or wherever it is you're running your migrations from, check them into source control, do a review, and then have some tool that runs migrations that haven't been run in production after they've gone through review. And that's true no matter what database bindings you're using. The main thing is just stay away from raw SQL queries. They're usually not worth it if it can be helped. All right, take a look here. Foundation. That's curious. How'd that work? All right, let me pop in Reset SQLite here. I want to see what the type of its run DB is, because I'm pretty curious about this no logging T situation. I have a guess, but I just don't want to know. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and add monad logger here, because I'm probably going to need to work with it to get anything done. Let me kill that, finish this. Ah, there it goes. Alright. We'll just stack over this background. Alright. Okay. Run SQL pool. Reader T, backend MA. The only thing it says about M here is monad base control. Oh, that's the only thing it says about M. So where is it getting logging T from? Okey-doke. Okay, we ran the logging T. no logging T, I should say. So it changed from logging T resource TIO to just resource TIO. So we just need to run resource T here. No? Almost. Alright, what is it? Oh, yeah, I just need to... couldn't match type. Well, I guess it helps if I actually run resource T. Done. Alright, so now we have a run DB. And what we're going to do next is figure out the database settings. And survey status. Yep. Okay. So it's just a database name and a pool size, it looks like. Alright, let's see. Yeah. It's SQL database, SQL pool size. Oh, I'm just giving it the same name. I mean, there's no real point, because that file, or that action, already exists by the name create SQLite pool. Although you do have to discharge the monad logger, so there is some value in creating it for simplicity, because this is supposed to be a beginner project, so we'll do that. I need to add annotated text. Ran into something that needs text for the first time. Gonna kill that again. Fire that up. Start that build again. And you pretty much always have to import text qualified. In this case, we just want that. No instance for monad logger IO. You are correct. Yeah, so I'm able to just kind of skip the requirement to provision a means of logging if I just do run the logging T. I don't know if that's ideal for a beginner project though, so that's probably going to be something I revisit. Okay, so now let me take a look here. Run DB exploit pool. Okay. And I'm going to run this one with logging. Maybe I'll change all of these logging. Yeah, why not? We'll do the right thing. Although, wait, hold on. I think for the purposes of end users, you don't want logging. At least not to standard out. Wow, that's annoying. Maybe we change it to file-based logging. I'll leave it for now. Figure it out later. Yep, there we go. Alright, so now I can run migrate SQLite database against, well, let me reacquire the recipe pool here because I reloaded. There we go. And then I can migrate SQLite database against recipe pool. And bada bing. There it is. So now we have a table. It's cool, right? Alright, so now what we're going to do is start making stuff that does stuff. So how about a recipe, which takes a list of ingredients. Actually, hold on. No conditional types. Yeah, it just embeds everything. So I think what we're going to do is import types, reload. There we go. All right, insert recipe types recipe to IO entity recipe, and it becomes the database version right there. And list entity ingredient. Yeah. I think what you really want here is just the key to the recipe. And then you can leave it up to them to decide where to go from there. Okay, so So now we're going to do this main function that goes to recipe to recipe. It's going to churn new list of ingredients. Ingredient direction tag. There you go. Types of recipe. Is that a good idea? That doesn't seem like a good idea. Let db recipe equal, and then let me grab the shape of recipe here versus types of recipe. Yeah. Okay. So it's just recipe name and recipe description. Types of recipe name, recipe. Types recipe description, recipe, and let me think about ingredient here. So the original ingredients is pretty easy, I think. Yeah. So we're gonna have to make a yeah, I'm not gonna use a so I need to put recipe ID on this, and then it's going to be key recipe to ingredients, because I can't actually finish applying the constructors until I talk to the database. How about them apples? Alright. And then ingredients is just going to be to database ingredients types ingredient to key recipe to ingredients. Load source persist. Yeah. So we're talking quantity. Types ingredient quantity. Yeah, type stock quantity. Okay. There we go. Type stock ingredient types. I wouldn't normally have to go to all this trouble. It's only because there's an existing thing that I want to be able to convert between that I need to do all this. Otherwise, I'd just be using the generated code. And I wouldn't really have to mess with it. Them's the breaks. And I'm going to have to convert that quantity. So I'm going to try slapping a 2 rational on there, see how it goes. Alright. And I'm going to make this return undefined for the moment, just so I can load types.recipe description. Yeah, fair enough. What is it? It's just description. What does this actually call a recipe name? Alright, there we go. Let's put some ingredient, key recipe ingredient. Oh yeah, sure. There we go. Clean that up a little bit. There we go. Alright, so that's the database recipe. Then there's DB recipe. And then we're going to fmap to database ingredient over types dot ingredients recipe undefined compiles, good to go, to database direction. It's going to be pretty easy, I think. It's just string to key recipe to direction. The tag is going to be very similar. And really, we can just do like, we can just do that, I think. Let's see how that goes. Yep, that compiles fine. Done. Is it direction or directions? Directions and tags. Aha! Done. Alright. Let's recipe ingredients directions tags equal to database recipe, and then we can insert. Let's do this right. Let's make it a database action. There we go. Insert recipe, and then we're going to get an NA key back. And call it recipe ID. And this isn't actually doing the right thing, but I just want to see the type checks. It does not. Super mad. What did I forget here? Expected type stuck recipe. shadowing. Alright, so. So this doesn't quite do what we want because we need to insert the ingredients, directions, and tags. But we also need to finish applying out this argument, right? So what we can do, let's posit a hypothetical value of this type. Value is undefined. Doesn't matter though. What if I take sequence A to val? It's very interesting. Suddenly, I have a function that takes a key, a recipe, and returns a list of fully applied ingredients because I use the reader applicative, or sorry, well, I used traversable and reader to basically lift the argument that they all have in common out of the list structure. So what I can then do is I can take insert, I can traverse, let me see here, let me posit a key recipe, k, key recipe, k is undefined, and traverse, and we're going to get some action. We're going to apply action to k. It's just going to be traverse, insert, sequence A, val, k, bada boom. Done. All right. So, if I want to be a clever jackass, I can just do it like this. Sequence A, ingredients, recipe ID. That's pretty evil, but you know, what are you gonna do? And in fact, I'm just gonna traverse underscore and drop them. And then we're just gonna do the same thing for directions, tags. Oh, what did I do wrong? Why is it mad? Why is it mad? Traverse underscore namely insert. Is it just this one? No. Does not work. Oh, traverse underscore is in the scope. Wait, why isn't traverse underscore in the scope? What? What? Wait. Where'd my traverse underscore go? Where'd it go? Oh, da-da-da foldable. God damn it. Alright. Thank you, Brian. Hey, that works. Alright, so now we have a way to take our generic type recipe here, which looks more like a normal Haskell data type, kind of more like what we'd actually want to work with in Haskell code. And we now have the ability to turn into the database representation and insert it. So let's actually test that. Let's see if that works. So let's create a test recipe. And to make this easier, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take a look at this bad boy. Whoops. I take it traverse underscores and data foldable because it doesn't actually need a traversable. Yeah, because it's not actually. It doesn't actually have to. Yeah, it doesn't need that much strength. Okay. This, you know, actually, there's a nicer way to handle this. This isn't gonna work. Let's reload here. Yeah, because I imported qualified. So first, let's clean this up a little bit. All right. I have all this manual solution in mind for this, but okay. Let's grab it from base. Whoops. No. Don't jump to the data.foldable. We're done there. Alright, so data.ratio. And we're looking for that. Yep. Data.ratio. Done. Hey, that worked out. All right. So let's default SQLite pool. Gen data equals insert recipe. Test recipe. Type of gen data is our database action. Run DB takes the recipe pool. Oops. Recipe pool. Hey, quit it. No, it's just gonna keep doing this. Run DB. Recipe pool. Gen data. Table ingredient has no column named recipe ID. Alright. I've misunderstood something about SQLite and foreign keys. Let's take a look. Let me kill this. SQLite 3, recipes, SQLite 3, tables. Okay. Direction. Yeah, recipe underscore ID, integer, not null, references recipe. Table ingredient has no column. Well, that doesn't seem right, does it? Oh, you know what it is? I know what I did wrong. You see how it's missing recipe ID? Yeah, I added the column after I had run the migration, so I need to rerun the migration now. Classic mistake. Alright, so perms persist. And I'm just going to be cavalier about this and just migrate SQLite database against recipe pool. No such table temp.recipe. What on earth? Alright. I'm going to destroy this resource. There we go. If I don't destroy the resource, it might still have a connection to the SQLite database. Alright. Let's have a look here. Insert into ingredient backup, create temp table. This must be specific to the SQLite bindings. I haven't seen the Postgres library do that. Okay, so it goes recipe, ingredients, version tag. Alright, well, there's an easy way to do this. Kill the write-ahead log. Worked that time. Don't know enough about SQLite to care about what happened. I'll figure it out later. I need to look into why I was using temp tables. I'm guessing it's a limitation of SQLite. Definitely not something I've ever run into using Postgres. Okie dokie. Let gem data run db recipe pool. Let me recreate the recipe pool and then run db recipe pool gem data. Hey. Alright. So now what I can do is I can do things like I didn't actually bind the key, but that's okay. Can I cheat? I can cheat. Git rk, run db, recipe pool. There we go. I can get it back out of the database. Hooray! Alright. Whoops. Alright. So that works now. Take that down. And so we have the rudiments of what we could use to start migrating data into SQLite. We need to actually compose this, hold on. We would need to compose get recipe book with that, but it would work. I'm pretty certain. So the next trick to pull out of my rabbit hat would be get recipe, or maybe get recipe book. Recipe book's just a list of recipe. So it would be something like secret persist m. It's going to have to be a list of key of recipe and types of recipe. And the reason for this is because I need to know how to look up the original, because there's no natural key on this. It's not unique by recipe name. Maybe it should be, but for the moment it's not. The SQLite database is also oblivious to the indexing that the original uses. Excuse me. It is now 1:48 in the morning, so I'm going to call it a day, but I will pick this up from the next stream. And I am also going to commit what I have here, so if y'all want to, I need to add SQLite 3 to get ignore. There we go. And then what was the other one? There's the write ahead log, and what was the other one? I deleted the write ahead log. I don't know where it went. I'll just throw another splat in there. Anyway. Okay, there we go. There we go. So now that's pushed up to button app/terms, and it's under the branch SQLite. And the pre-SQLite version is in house cleaning. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will be on Twitter if anybody has any questions for probably a little bit longer, and thanks for watching.